Hello, everyone. My name's Ted Everingham. I'm a member of the class of 1961. I can't believe that myself. I have the privilege this weekend of conducting some Britain conversations, just chats with some people who are important to us in our history. They may be students, they may be alums, they may be faculty. And today, we're going to be talking with Jenny Risner-Wade and Ben Wade. Jenny, you were the class of 98?
98.
98 and Ben 99.
Correct.
Is it a good guess that you met at the college?
Nope. We actually met in high school.
Really?
Well, we met back in 4th and 5th grade.
Oh my goodness. Well, good for you. I want to talk a little about, I'm very eager to talk about your businesses, but I want to know a little about your experience at Albion. I'll start with you, Jenny. You were an English major?
Yep, an English major and at the time an environmental studies concentration was attached to my degree as well. I think now it's its own minor.
What other activities at Albion besides being a good student?
I was a student worker for the White House Nature Center, and there was an underground, it was trying to be an underground newspaper, more like a newsletter, called The Alternative or Second Alternative? Second Alternative. Yeah, so I was involved in writing and editing for that little piece.
What fun. Albion was fun when you had little things like that running around, right? Just great fun.
Yeah.
Ben, you were in biology?
That's correct.
Tell me about that.
Well, I came in with a lot of interest in zoology, actually, herpetology to be exact. I was a reptile handler for Binder Park Zoo on the summer in between semesters. I took care of the animals that nobody else liked to take care of. But yeah, I was one of the few non-pre-med students in the bio program, which was quite a challenge.
That is interesting. What else? What other activities do you have at the college?
So I also wrote for the Second Alternative. You're making me really dig now. I played in a little band on kind of a rock band on campus, and I DJ'd for the Albion radio station, a rock program weekly. Played in IM racquetball, and yeah, that was probably it for the events. Those were kind of the big things.
Oh, and we spent time at the Keller too.
Yeah, a lot of hanging out and playing pool at the Keller.
Yeah, and eating dipper fries.
Oh, that's fun. Well, I want to talk to you. I'll start with you, Ben, about the Albion Malleable Brewing Company. Whose idea was this? How did it get started? And when did it get started?
So I first met the other two founding partners, Charles Moreau, who's a professor of physics at the college, and John Rogers, who's another alum, in October of 15, I believe. And I was a very avid home brewer. I've been brewing for 15 years, pretty much consistently, and was working professionally in biochem and fermentation-based vaccines and biopharmaceuticals. So I'd kind of done fermentation. I got into homebrewing kind of as a supplement to what my career was at the time, more out of curiosity around fermentation process than any real love of beer. The love of the beer in different styles actually kind of came later. But there was rumblings around town about some things happening. Charles and John had kind of put together a one-page white paper presentation to go out and look for some investors who might be interested in backing a brewery in town. They had found some investors, largely Albion alum, that had formed this new Albion Impact Group. You may or may not have heard of.
Yes.
Investment group that had the goal of helping businesses kind of get the ball rolling in town. So they had been sort of circulating the idea. They were being referred my way constantly, and vice versa. I had kind of rolled the idea of a brewery locally around as well, with kind of finding that investment interest being the big gap. So we were introduced and we met out at the 115 truck stop for breakfast, and it became apparent just over the course of a meal that our visions for what we wanted it to be were very, very, very closely aligned. And we kind of left after a couple of hours of coffee and breakfast with our own sort of checklist of things we were going to do to keep the ball rolling, and we just never stopped and just continued from there.
What fun. How did you come to name it Albion Malleable Brewing?
So as a home brewer, I had kind of branded all of my stuff as Forked River Brewing Company, actually. We live very near the Forks here in town. Right. And that was kind of what was in my head is that I wanted something that was very reflective of Albion, and very, very deeply rooted in Albion. But it turned out once we started doing the search that there's actually a Canadian brewery named Forked River that is on the Forked River as it would be, that distributes as close as Windsor, which was only, that's only an hour and a half for us. Right. So we didn't want to do anything that down the road should we grow or, expand the brand that we end up with any sort of conflict or copyright trademark dispute. So we kind of started brainstorming, and we had lists and lists of different things that we were trying to come up with, and trying to kind of find something that still had that, deep root to the community. And, the Malleable growing up was, so inseparable from everything Albion. It was the largest employer here for hundreds of years. It led to the diversity in our city because people came from all over the country to work. And were recruited and actually transported here and set up with housing, to get them jobs here. It really built the industrial component of Albion that many other factories, spun off later from that. You had Corning Glass here, you had Decker Manufacturing, you had, tons of industry here. So it was just kind of through, we were sitting down and nothing was really sticking. And I think it popped into my head, and somewhere along the line, and we became very excited about it instantly, and kind of started sharing it privately within the circle. And the reactions were overall really fantastic for the people that were from Albion. For anybody who was kind of outside of the city, Albion Malleable Brewing Company, and we were told it was too big, it was going to fit on a bottle, or there was too much else going on. But once the idea was there, it was just there was no letting go of it. It was just too perfect for what we were trying to do.
Well, I grew up in Jackson, just 20 miles down the road from you. And when I was in college, actually the summer before college, and throughout college, and the summer after I graduated, I worked at WALM, which was the commercial radio station in town at the time. It's no longer there. So I got to know the community very, very well, Albion, Marshall, Battle Creek. And when I heard about Albion Malleable Brewing Company, I said, of course, why not? It was a mainstay of the community in so many different ways, as you say. It helped shape what Albion is today. And you're helping to shape it some more yourself.
Yeah, that was our goal. I mean, John and Charles, when they were originally brainstorming, their starting point was, what can we do in Albion that will benefit Albion, benefit the community, and help things come back. They arrived at brewery through their, their back and forths. So we kind of had that same goal when we first met, that we wanted to do something that would have a positive impact. And breweries are such space makers in towns. They really are a community gathering place, and much more than just a place to have a beer. Yeah.
Well, and from you grew up there, you've been in Albion, around Albion your whole life. I was there a lot of years. I drive through Albion now, and I commend both of you and others like you for the renaissance of downtown Albion. Certainly helps our college to have a nice downtown and exciting things to do, and new hotel, and the Bohm has been back now. Mm-hmm. My first date with my wife, to whom I'm still married, was at the Bohm Theater.
Oh, nice.
So how's that? Tell me about the chocolate shop.
Yellowbird Chocolate Shop at 306 South Superior, which is right next to Secretary of State, and across the street from Kids and Stuff, which I'm excited for them to reopen soon. They're in hibernation. The chocolate shop is new to downtown Albion at that site, but it's kind of a return also of the chocolate shop, because I had been doing it for a few years just as a pop-up in other establishments like the brewery, Sterling Books and Brew.
Oh yeah.
And just on the street during Festival of the Forks. Also the French Market and Farmers Market in town. So having it in its own location now is new and exciting, and I hope to see you in there.
Well, were it not for the pandemic, I would be in town this homecoming weekend. And I firmly believe that chocolate is one of the basic food groups.
Yes.
I love chocolate. And you're making craft chocolate. You're making it on site?
Yes. Yep. I am one of 4 makers in Michigan who have chocolate shops that make chocolate from scratch from the cacao bean. You know, there's a dozen or so chocolatiers in Michigan, and I don't know how many Mackinac Island fudge shops there are around the state, but there's only a small handful of establishments that actually make chocolate from cacao bean.
Well, good for you. I got to get back and talk just briefly about the best burger in Michigan, Ben. Tell me about that. That's a fairly new development.
It is, and it was quite stunning to us as well. We've kind of been, I think, like a lot of new businesses, it's really, really difficult right now to break through the noise, right? We spent money on radio, we spent money on billboards, we did a lot of different things trying to increase our traffic a little bit, and it was just really hard to get the word out. And frustrating after, we would do so much work, and then we would, be in line at Lowe's picking stuff up in Jackson, and, people would say, oh, there's a brewery in Albion? I didn't know that, and, for somebody 15 miles away to still not have heard of us with all the effort we were putting into it. So we had been saying for a couple of years, basically since the beginning, that we needed something to pop, right? We felt confident we had the product, both in the food and the beer, and a great environment. It was just hard to break through the noise. So we had kind of started putting, stuff out there, putting stuff forward when we saw things like this, where people were going out and looking, hoping that somebody would come check us out, and, even more so hoping that somebody would be impressed enough to continue to follow up. So we saw the competition go up during the nomination process. We encouraged our patrons to mention us, if they liked us. We were one of over 500 nominated businesses in the state of Michigan for the contest. This is through Michigan's Best, MLive, that was performing it. So they're a huge media outlet. They have a vast reach. They have like 1 million followers on Facebook alone. We got their attention enough that, when they went back through and they looked at our Google and Facebook reviews and kind of what we'd been doing, they were impressed enough to come pay us a visit. So we were in their final, they narrowed it down to a few dozen based on a combination of user votes of which ones were getting the most traction, and reviews and places that kind of stuck out to them as good contenders. So they came and spent a couple of hours over lunch and sampled every one of our 6 or so different burger variations, in addition to sampling some beers and sort of learning about the history, and seemed to have a good time. But it was impossible to read exactly. They had good poker faces. They didn't give anything away. So that was actually pre-pandemic. That was all the way back in February or so that they came. Yeah. Their search kind of got put on pause when several of their nominees, had to go into shutdown during the carryout only order, and then they resumed it, after June, after things kind of got opened up again. So we were kind of biding our time and crossing our fingers that we could get a top 10 and use that for a publicity thing to really start blasting out that we had one of the best burgers you could go out and get. So when the article dropped, we learned that we were number 1. We were pretty dumbfounded. That very much exceeded our hopes, our expectations, and we were quite honored to be called out of so many great places here in Michigan. And it really was a complete game changer for our business. Within hours of the article, we started seeing traffic, and over the last 2 months, we've actually been significantly more traffic and significantly more revenue, even with the reduced capacity and everything, than we were even pre-COVID. It's the busiest we've ever been. So it's been a really phenomenal impact.
Well, I have a sister and a nephew who live in the area there, Albion and Marshall. And I was thinking as I was getting ready for this conversation that I was going to have to come see them, but I really want to see you two. I'm really excited. I hope the people in the alumni family watching who can't get back this year will remember you. And if they haven't been back, they need to know that the town of Albion is quite different than it was just a very few years ago. And it's because of people like you. And I for one, commend you and thank you for all you're doing. And I can assure you that if next time I get to Albion, I will be stopping by. Want to say something. I talk about liberal arts, and liberal arts training is for so many things in the world. And I couldn't help but think about a biology major, an English major, and a physics professor now in the beer, burger, and chocolate businesses. I mean, that's liberal arts at work, is it not?
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, continued good luck to both of you. Thank you for being with us. And I look forward to seeing you the next time in town. And let's hope that homecoming a year from now, you'll just be packed to the walls, both of you, with returning Albion people. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be well.
You too. Stay safe.